the other big issue over the weekend was the announcement yesterday made by Prime Minister Christopher Luxon, the Police Minister Mark Mitchell and the Children's Minister Karen Chua, when they held a joint press conference where they announced a new sentencing category for serious youth offenders, a pilot program for a new military-style academy, and new police officers for the Auckland CBD. Now, I'd like to get your views on this because the question you would have, well, I'll come to that in a second, and I'll also come to the responses of the opposition parties to this. But the question you would have is, why has it taken so long? Now, I get, and this is not so long in terms of the government at all, not in terms of the coalition making the step yesterday. After all, they've only been in power for 8 months, so that's fair enough. They've announced this, and obviously they had the funding in the budget to do that. But no. The question is, because yesterday also, as part of that, Police Minister Mitchell and was it Commissioner Costa announced new community police teams would be established in all major cities across New Zealand, targeting crime and antisocial behaviour. Costa said that the new, what they call community beat teams, CBTs, community beat teams, will provide a more visible, reassuring and responsive policing presence on our main streets, shopping malls and transport hubs. A little bit late, isn't it, in Dunedin? But in actual fact, ironically, I don't think Dunedin's one of the cities. As from what I can understand, it's Auckland, Wellington and Christchurch. He said, and this is what Costa said yesterday, quote, "Our intent is to move to a 24/7 beat model in the CBD, working on a rostered basis with 5 teams, each led by a sergeant, to increase police visibility around the clock. And the teams will be rolled out from July onwards." Can I say yet again to Police Commissioner Andrew Costa, you've been the Police Commissioner for a long, long time. There has been a constant demand from the community, from business leaders, from civic officials, from everyone, probably except criminals, for exactly this type of policing. But it's taken 8 months of a new coalition government for you to make this move. And there's no question to me that this move has only been taken because there was a change in government last October. So again, you just ask Costa, who talks about independence of the police from politicians, which is nonsense, of course. But you just ask, why is Costa in his job? I mean, has he just woken up to the fact that this style of policing is required, is necessary? And the answer to that question is yes, he has just woken up to this, prompted and prodded, you would think, by this coalition government to, in actual fact, wake up. But the very fact that he's woken up to this particular policing model, can I just ask the question of you, how competent is this individual to serve in this particular position? I'm suggesting that yesterday's announcement by Commissioner Costa, far from being welcomed, should in actual fact be derided and should serve as essentially his resignation from the position of Police Commissioner. Because if it's okay now to move to this policing model, which used to be the case and had a dramatic and significant effect upon improving safety in the CBD for our major cities, why would it take you so long to get back to that concept? All this proved yesterday is not that Costa is responding to public demand, but that he doesn't understand policing, its very concept. The fact that detection and arrest and apprehension are the key to a fundamentally good policing system. If you're not there, you can't detect something. If you're not there, you can't stop something. If you're not there, you can't apprehend and arrest somebody And if you're not there, there are no consequences for the kind of offending that we are seeing throughout most of the CBDs in this particular country at the moment, as criminal and antisocial elements run the show and scare good and decent people away from those areas of New Zealand. So far from saying to Commissioner Costa, at last, I'm saying to Commissioner Costa, you need to go. You know, everyone knows this. There wouldn't be a New Zealander who doesn't know this. But you, as the police commissioner, have finally worked it out that this would be an appropriate response to significant levels of antisocial behaviour, criminal activity, and endangerment of citizens every day of every week in this country. When the Prime Minister yesterday said he was sick of it, and I'm glad he used that word because that's exactly the sentiment of ordinary New Zealanders. We are sick of the crime and the antisocial conduct and the endangerment that we all risk on a daily basis, but particularly retailers, it had to be said, and people who congregate at bus sites and anywhere where you go, apparently in the CBDs of Auckland or Wellington, but particularly Auckland. But the reality is that yesterday expression from the Prime Minister that he's sick of it was something that led in good part to a change of government. We lost faith in Ginny Anderson and her predecessors to be actually able to do something about this. In fact, it was almost that they deliberately didn't want to do anything about it. And they deliberately didn't want to prod Cuddles Costa to actually respond to not just public apprehension, but real endangerment to so many people that live in our community. So Costa's got to go. Yesterday is not an admission that I have finally got there. It's an admission of failure. It's a bit like deciding that you're not going to pick, I don't know, if I gave an analogy, you're not going to pick, Richie Moanga as the first 5'8" when you don't have any other first 5'8" and you try everybody else. And finally, for the key game, you pick him and play him, and he plays, of course, to his level, and you win the game. Well, Costa's just... So the selector or the coach shouldn't be, in fact, said, well done, you finally picked him. It should be, you didn't for days, for years, for months, for so many lost games. You need to go, because you clearly don't get it. Costa's in exactly the same position. He doesn't get it. He was forced into this position. And yesterday's announcement, at the end of the day, you can see didn't come from him, but was a direct result of 8 months of a new government saying, you need to do something because you're not doing anything at the moment. Go, man. You've served your purpose. Go and take your national superannuation. Let somebody who understands New Zealand and New Zealanders, somebody who understands crime and antisocial behaviour, actually do your job. Because at the moment, you're just a waste of space. That's my views.